live.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes.
Imperial March.
No. Pretty good. Pretty good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. Yes, yes.
It's in a round.
It's in a round like row, row, row your boat. It's the Tim McKernan Show podcast. It's presented to you by a wonderful group of sponsors. James Carlton, Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency, online at carltoninsurance.net. Seth Goldcamp, Design Air Heating and Cooling, online at designairservice.com. Jamie Burkhardt, Peter Munganast, St. Louis Acura, Munganast Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, stlouisacura.com, altontoyota.com, and Mark Hanna, Evergreen Wealth Strategies, Life Sherpa.
He is.
Jackson was doing a sound story.
Mm-hmm.
And then came in, and I was on customer service with Ticketmaster, which was about 45 minutes.
Was it really?
For real. But I had things I could do, so I could just put it on speaker, and I could work on some
things.
Were
most of it on hold, or was most of it talking to the
I would say 40% talking to people.
Yeah, all right.
But the issue, speaking of James Carlton, he's not going to be able to go to the Missouri-Vanderbilt game this weekend.
Right.
I'm going to be able to take my boy.
That's awesome.
My wife and I are going with our 7-year-old. He has never been to a game at Fro Field.
Has he ever been to Columbia?
I don't think so.
Nice.
And so he's going to get a chance to experience that. James Carlton can't go. He said, I'll give you my tickets.
Nice.
He sent them via email, and I clicked accept my tickets. This is very standard.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't work, and I had to log in, it just wouldn't work, and I'm just like, I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. Now, I tell this little anecdote on TMA this morning, and I've discovered that now at 47 years old, soon to be 48, hard to believe with my appearance.
Legitimately.
Hard to believe how amazingly handsome and youthful I am. Mm-hmm. That I'll be 48, my birthday's in 9 days. That I am at the age where people go, oh, you can't figure out technology. This is a great thing.
Yeah.
But it turns out Ticketmaster had fucked up, and all they needed to do was correct something, and then once they did that, it instantaneously worked. Nice. But I enjoy that I am now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's nice.
I mean, there's nothing you can do about it, so it's just kind of one of those things. But that you just disregard it as, oh, you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Right. I hear that, and then I think to myself, when's that day going to come for me? And I think
probably 2 decades.
I think it's going to get, like, the younger you are, the quicker that's going to happen. Because I think technology is so ever-changing. You know?
I agree with that.
So, like, at 40, someone might be like, hey, you old fuck, figure it out. Whereas, 10 years ago, it might have been 60, and now clearly it's 47, soon to be 48.
That's right.
Despite being devilishly handsome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I was able to tend to that. Jackson did his sound story. Mm-hmm. I am on. You want to guess how much REM sleep I got? I let you know it was a bad night sleeping last night. Surprisingly, I was in a deep sleep. Our 2-year-old is currently in a stage where he comes into our bed. He went from being the most low-maintenance child to suddenly he comes into our bed, won't go to bed, whatever, it happens, part of the deal.
Sure.
Phases, Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
And then he just starts kicking me throughout the night. And I'm losing my eyesight rapidly. That is a legitimate thing. And so when I don't sleep, I notice my eyesight is even shittier. Mm. Yeah, what a weird deal. I don't know if it's correlated or not.
I could think it would be. So if you got bad night's sleep...
Yeah, what do you think on the REM sleep?
I know...
It's all here on my Whoop. I'll show everybody.
Yeah, you'll show everything.
Yeah.
So I know a good REM sleep for you, based on previous conversations, like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. I can pull up the health chart if you want me to.
Yeah, I know you can. I'll go 26 minutes of REM sleep.
That's a really nice guess. I think you might have won the Showcase Showdown. 32 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, it's nothing.
Not good. Let me see what time
I didn't get much sleep last night either.
What time I was REM sleeping? Oh, it says some of it was like at 5 this morning. That's not true. I was out of the bed at 5. 5:04, I think, to be exact. Yeah, not good. So I'm liable. So if you tilt me, I'm liable to go off. Yeah. At the same time, I could be even sluttier.
Yeah, that's true.
Than normal because my brain is absolute disaster right now. Post a little picture on the TMA fan page, which is on Facebook. Jackson won't let any new people in there.
That's right. In fact, kicking people out by the day.
Yeah.
I just pick someone random.
Of me with the cutest baseball team. You remember that club from 1987.
It really does. It looks like you now. Kind of.
Does it really?
I mean, the face is like pretty much the same.
Really?
Wow.
Trying to see. Somebody came over at the Green Tree Parade, which is a thing in Kirkwood on Saturday.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I guess the Missouri game doesn't start till 11:45. I'll do this.
Sure.
And a bunch of people are out there. Really like the people in the area.
It was a beautiful day.
It was. And my boys got into it. And somebody that my wife has known forever, her son played baseball in Missouri, matter of fact, said when she saw her 7-year-old, oh my God, he looks exactly like you, to my wife. And I go, oh, that's great. Like internally. And then the doctor says he might be 6'2".
Really?
And I'm like,
wow. What a comeback story.
yeah. I think, for real, I pull for that so much.
Yeah. Oh, my God, 6'2".
I know. I mean, it's essentially the delta is, if we're doing a bell curve, he could be 5'10", still a win.
W.
Still a win. I mean, if I were 5'10",
oh, my God.
Can you even imagine?
I cannot.
Yeah. The bell curve, though, is 6 feet. So we're at 72 inches there. Theoretically, we could be at 70 inches. The cap, the ceiling, is at 74.
Yeah.
But my three grandparents, or my three parents involved, the 4 parents, my in-laws and my parents, 3 of the 4 have, I don't want to say taller, but certainly average to above average height.
Yeah.
Anna Marie is a taller,
Yes.
I mean, she's not tall, but she's a taller woman. Mm-hmm. She's taller than average. What do you think the average height is for an American woman in 2024?
5'6".
Take the under on that. I feel good about it too. Would you like to wager?
No, I have a ban on that. Yeah, maybe 5'5". But isn't one of your brothers tall?
Both of them, I think, are
Both
6
of them?
feet tall, and one of them might be like 6'1".
So you just got the short end of the stick.
Yeah,
literally.
it's brutal.
Yeah.
And then my sister was an all-state soccer player. So I mean, it's just like I'm like the cum that should have like been wiped up.
The rancid seed.
The rancid seed. That's the title of today's podcast. We already knocked that out.
Rancid.
How tall is the average American woman?
Now I'm thinking about
5'4".
Yeah, damn it.
Abigail Maxwell.
Is Eloise?
Eloise is tall, so I don't know if it'd ever work.
God, tall women. If I had like
Oh, is that your kink?
If I had like a thing. My girlfriend's not tall, but if I had like a thing, I think like it would be better than would be like tall women. Yeah.
Tall women is your kink.
Like Charlize. I always talk about Charlize.
Oh, she tall?
Yeah.
Was she like 6 feet tall? 5'10"?
So. Yeah. Sigourney Weaver. I talk about Rebecca from Ted Lasso. About these tall women.
Oh, yeah, you do. Hannah Waddingham?
Yeah. Shame. So shame lady.
In the Facebook, from Game of Thrones comments, gentleman posts, you could pass for a young Doug Vaugh in this picture.
People say I look like Doug.
So now I look like Doug, too.
I guess. Who told you to choke you up on the bat this high? Just trying to get...
I mean, you go, this is a guy thinking he's going to play for the Cardinals. That's what I look at.
This is a guy who's just trying to get through the infield.
And I got to be honest, it looks like I have man tits.
It's just a shirt, but yeah, there is kind of a protuberance.
Yeah. It's like, this guy's an all-star, he's got tits.
Not to mention, just the hair is just like in a perfect line. under
South
the
City
cap.
living, brother. It used to be Ladue News, and it was South City living. Yep. What an image.
Nice uniforms, though.
Yeah, cutest. Tough year for the club.
Yeah.
Tough year for the club. I think Ace Beacons had a good club. Kid named Taco. He could hit, he could pitch, he could do it all.
Yeah, it's like Kelly from Bad News Bears.
We could do it all. And then I think it was like Angler Sporting Goods. And they had a guy named Doug Butler. And my God, he could throw it hard. But I got a hit off him, and it's, I think, my career highlight.
Nice. What league is this?
Afton Athletic Association. Yeah. Oh, look at Jackson look down on it. Look at Jackson look down on it.
I played in Kirkwood Athletic Association, right at the park right by Family Golf. It's no longer there, or no longer active.
Ah, yes.
That's where I played until the 6th grade when I stopped playing.
There's a lot of dense weeds and shrubs in that.
Yeah, it'd be tough to get a diamond up there, but that was my last year.
I think they're trying to keep it alive.
I think I saw some about that. It was the lights are probably the expensive part of it.
Yeah, and it just floods.
It floods like crazy. We would always have games that would flood out.
Have I talked on this podcast about this book that I keep talking about with you?
No.
I've talked about it with you. I've talked about it with my wife. And the way I became aware of it was an email from a gentleman by the name of Matthew Markscores. And there is a lady who works at KMOX by the name of Amy Markscores.
Right.
And I would have to think that's too of an uncommon name for them not to be related.
I was literally about to ask, is that Amy Markscores?
And I know Amy a little bit, and Amy is incredibly intelligent. And this email about this book, it's not for everybody, but I keep talking to Jackson. Do you have any interest whatsoever in listening to this? None whatsoever?
You know me. I'm all fiction.
Yeah, that's right. God, that's so surprising to me.
All
That
fiction.
really is just like, it's off the brand.
It's the only thing that like really grips me.
And I have zero interest in fiction.
Yeah.
Like, I like my pornography nonfiction.
Have you ever gotten nonfiction?
I tell myself.
Right.
Here it is. This was sent to me on August 27th, and I've been listening to it. I can't wait to get into the car
That's a nice feeling.
to listen to it. It is just, but my drives are so short that I'm still probably only midway through it. Now it's Nate Silver. Now my understanding is Nate Silver has become, I guess every topic can become political.
Right.
So this isn't like, man, I really like Nate. I don't even know what the fuck Nate Silver's politics are. I don't know.
I've only seen some things. Like the most recent tweet I saw about him was him saying like I don't really care about like politics and stuff, but this Haitian stuff is really racist.
Oh. But I mean, that isn't necessarily like.
I don't think it's a hot take, but you know.
All right, it's called. All right, let me just read the fucking email. This Nate Silver book came out earlier this month. First couple chapters are in depth on poker, including his playing time in the World Series of Poker, game theory, and positive EV, expected value. It is going to build out from that to go in depth about people like Elon Musk and Sam Bankman-Fried and their thought process relative to their impact. He differentiates the poker players and entrepreneurs as Riverians, as in the river, and the institutions and quote-unquote experts as the village. I'm only about 20% in, but cannot help but notice a lot of the stuff he talks about sounds really familiar to what you talk about on your show. Big recommendation. Also, always recommend the Fifth Column podcast, which I've started to subscribe to, but I haven't listened to yet. It's the one podcast that keeps me grounded when it comes to politics and media, so I really want to listen to that. Best, that comes from Matt, as I said, and maybe I fucked up and gave his last name. I hope that isn't a big deal, because it's just a book recommendation and not like a take. But it's one of those things. I don't know, maybe higher than 1 out of 100, 5 out of 100, 10 out of 100. People who are listening to this podcast, it will be, and I say porn, but I mean like it will stimulate the fuck out of you. And then for 90 out of 100 or 95 out of 100, you'll be like, what the fuck? And it's not about the poker thing. It's about the mindset.
As an example, it's
yeah. Well, it does explain, the thought process behind winning poker players.
Right.
And why people play poker. And I actually think there's a tie into golf. He doesn't go into that, but I think that there's a same
risk reward thing.
I guess, I don't know. Just challenge. Yeah. Like you can't ever just be content. No. And so I look at you and Doug, who I would say, if we're going to divide people into, as the book isn't about, but how he divides people's mindsets into either being part of the river or the village. You and Doug are part of the village.
Village people.
And I envy you as village people.
Yeah, pretty comfy in the village.
Yes. I'm never going to be comfortable. But that is, I guess, part of the mindset of what he's saying. And so I guess why I'm bringing this up, number one, it's a monster recommendation if some of the shit that I talk about resonates with you. But I recognize, not because I'm like on some other level, I would rather not think the way I think. Truthfully, because it leads to a lack of contentment. But if when I do talk about some of this shit and it resonates with you, this will be the Chasey Lane oil scene of books. It is, and I guess what I would say about it is, it kind of like it's almost like, I don't know. It's like, now I kind of get it. I've always known I'm a little fucked up. And I think people think I'm saying that to be self-deprecating, but I really mean it. And then I'm like, okay, now I get it. And I'm not saying I'm like Elon. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if you think a certain way, and then obviously you're in a minority, but then everything else about you would seem on the surface, I guess, to be relatively normal until you interact with the person. Then you're like, oh, he's an asshole or something, whatever it is. But it's just the way that I think, And so when you were take your pick of like how you're embargoing bets with me.
Correct.
And I always say, and I might lose, but I'll get it in good, which is a poker term for meaning I'll get it in and I'll be ahead in the hand. Now, how the cards come out, I might lose the hand, but I'll get it in good, meaning that I'm positive. I'm a favorite when we have the bet. In my mind, I'm a favorite. You don't necessarily know. In poker, you're putting players on a range of hands. That's why I guess I'm quote unquote successful on that kind of shit. But we were talking about something yesterday, and I truly sat there as we were talking. I'm like, God, you were in such a great headspace about it, and I was, not, to say the least. And I'm like, man, I really wish I could be truly, and I don't think many people sit there and go, I wish I could be Tim. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I envy, and I've told Doug this, and then he goes, yeah, but me being content has probably caused me to miss out on some opportunities.
I share Doug. I feel.
Do you feel that way?
I feel
so.
similar.
Really?
Yeah.
But at 26, how can you really feel that way? I mean, but if you do, you do. Fuck.
Yeah,
who am I to say?
Cursed with a lot of self-awareness and just kind of always thinking about myself too much, and I have to correct myself because even thinking about in a way, if you think about thinking about yourself in a way is kind of selfish, even though it's just you thinking about yourself. But the more you think about others or not think about yourself, the easier it is to kind of be content, I think. But I don't think people who aren't, like what you said, river people, is that what it is?
He calls it Riverians.
Riverian.
Yeah.
I don't think because someone's Riverian, they're necessarily a narcissist. I just think they're also self-aware, but in a different way.
Yeah.
What can I be doing better as opposed to what have I done wrong?
Right.
And I think more of what I've done wrong as opposed to what can I do better, which is probably the wrong headspace to be in. But
we had a show, I don't know, I feel like it was a year ago, but maybe it was more recent, maybe it was longer, where you were down on yourself. Remember that?
Yes.
Does that still go on? I don't even remember what was causing it.
I don't remember either, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
No, I try not to because I know I've gotten good maybe in the last year or so of just finding a little pocket of contentment. Just even in
Do you think being a man in love plays a role?
Big help.
I would imagine.
Big help because I think a lot of my own self-doubt was kind of maybe not rooted in that, but that didn't help anything. But I've always been able to find little pockets of happiness, and I think that's a real blessing in a way.
No, it's great.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful thing. I mean, this is not I've really loved what I got going on. Let me act like I wouldn't know. I mean, it would be. Yeah. It just is one of those things that now I'm sitting here nearly 48. I'm going. This is just the way it's going to be.
Sure. Hardwiring. We've talked about that.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can already see it. So oftentimes, you just did a sound story. One of the things I'll ask parents if they're talking about their children is if they could notice from the get-go behavioral traits and if it wound up carrying on throughout the lives of their children. And almost every time, not only do they say that that's the case, but then they also notice the different traits, and I can already see it. That's why it's so surprising that my 2-year-old is doing what 2-year-olds do, which is not sleeping great and coming into our bed and whatever, you deal with it. That it's hardwired, but for the most part, he's been super low maintenance. Right. And so I can already, I'd be shocked if, all of a sudden my older one became super chill, yeah. And the younger one became batshit,
right.
Maybe
they're trading places.
It's just, you can already see it. And I would imagine my parents can. I had a discussion with a friend of mine who said there's some kind of genetic programming, or if you're religious, God-given trait that causes parents to forget how miserable it is in the early stages of raising children, that then allows them to forget about it, which causes them to produce more children.
Right.
Otherwise, nobody would continue to reproduce after they raise
that's evolutionary, really. I mean,
So I wonder if there's something to that.
100%.
Because my wife will say, don't you remember when Jameson, my older son, was doing that? And I go, I got to be honest with you, no, I really don't.
Yeah. I can assume that was...
He used to sleep in our bed. He used to sleep at the foot. I go, I guess so. I don't know. I remember I shared a bed with him. We lived down in Jupiter in 2021, but I don't remember like him at the foot of the bed,
right,
like a cock.
Do you think that, because I'm thinking like this through women, because obviously, obviously in childbirth, the man has the real tough job. But
good for you for saying that.
No,
good for you.
About time someone did. But obviously, like the woman has such a brutal time during childbirth. I'd assume there would be kind of like you block that part out in order to keep having kids. Otherwise, it'd probably be a lot of people with one child because they're like, holy shit, that was brutal.
Yeah, I don't know on that. I don't know. You're not being, I don't know.
Or the love of the child, and I assume this is the real answer. Like having the child far outweighs the pain of the however long the birthing process takes. Is like that moment where you hold the child is the mountaintop.
Yeah,
and so it's worth going through the bottom a little bit.
I would imagine most of the people who listen to this podcast are ladies.
Yes.
We can take phone calls.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice. Why don't we have one call in? Talk about birthing a child.
Yeah.
Or a sapphic experience.
Right.
Either are welcome on today's program.
Right. Be tough to be both, but not impossible. Not impossible.
636-9004-TMA. Call on in. The water is warm. Active YouTube chat. Good to see, especially for a spontaneous QFTA. So anyway, it looks like somebody, like I said, I'm blind as a bat right now. So somebody just said, I mentioned it on Balloon Party, but I'm 6'2", 6'3", and I wouldn't want to be taller.
MD 2020.
Okay. And Chairman Kurt says I'm 5'4".
Not that short.
Let's see. Got on the Edge the day it came out. That's the name of the book. I believe I said that. On the Edge.
Got it.
Would highly recommend getting the hardcover for the graphics, etc. Yeah, I understand that there's some. I mean, he makes reference to some of these graphs. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it just, I don't know. It's one of those. I don't know.
You're an audiobook guy.
Well, can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
For real, if for whatever reason I had a long drive, I would be so at peace, as I imagine a lot of parents of young children would be, to just have the silence and just listen to podcasts or audiobooks. Oh.
Yeah. I love driving.
Come festival is what I'd call it.
Big time. I love driving. Like I love driving because I can listen to podcasts and music. Like the drive to Columbia is like my perfect drive. Not too long where I'm like, fuck, I'm getting a little tired of driving. Not too short where I don't get to listen to a podcast and music. Like I really love. It's like my meditation because you're not looking at your phone.
Wow, how about that? A drive to Columbia. A lot of people talk about that I-70 being a tough drive.
I mean, it's not like the smoothest drive ever, but I'm just driving in general is kind of my form of meditation where it's like I can't look at my phone. I'm just listening to the music or podcasts I want to listen to. Just focused on one thing in driving. It's great. I love driving.
So, are you going to the Fighting Tigers this Saturday? You're not. What do you got going on?
This is like the one weekend in September where I'm kind of don't have anything, so I kind of want to be just chilling. Because next weekend I'm in Chicago, and then the weekend
we're both off. Yeah. This is a developing situation.
I'm kind of thinking maybe we just mention it the next Thursday afternoon, just see what happens.
Chairman Kurt, get ready to run point, especially if you're in the watching this.
Yeah, run point, run the board, produce.
It's quite a situation.
Be tough.
We do have a lady watching. Chairman Kurt says, "Give me the ball, I'll run with it." There you go. Look at that. What kind of attitude do you want?
So quick with that.
Aaron in St. Chuck, who has nipple rings, says, "Lady here, but no kids for me. I like free time and money."
Fair enough. Hey, whatever you want.
I remember those days. Yeah. And I remember hearing the term dual, was it DINK?
Oh, yeah, dual income, no kids.
Yeah. So that's what we had because my wife was working when we were at 920.
Right.
She handled the commercial traffic when we were at 920. effing men, Aaron. That's what Chairman Kurt says. Oh, to Aaron about no kids for me. I like free time and money. Yeah. Hey, you know what I say? Some people like something, some people I've been on both sides.
Yeah. We were talking about like just not remembering certain things. That gets me back to something I mentioned on TMA, which is Severance. Could not recommend it more.
Is that right?
Me and my girlfriend just finished it. Amazing.
And it's one season.
The second season's coming out in January,
Oh,
so you have
geez.
like 3 months to watch it.
And who's it starring?
Adam Scott.
That's what I thought. I think I've begun to watch it.
Adam
and
Scott and John Turturro and Patricia Arquette would be the main stars, but it's directed and made by Ben Stiller.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's a
that.
mind fuck, and it's really good.
I'm gonna have to
On
watch
Apple,
that.
it's really, really, it's quick too. They're like 40-minute episodes, only 8 of them. Really good.
Cucky the Dwarf is in the chat, and he says, "Free time and money cannot compare to your little tyke reaching up to grab your hand." And then Aaron writes, "I always wanted to be a mom. Wasn't in the cards for me, but we're at peace and having a lovely life."
Yeah, different strokes, different folks.
Isn't it nice? One of the true tenets of the whatever you want to call it with TMA, and it's not that it's exclusive to this, but for real, when producer Joe, which I'm sure he was being a condescending ass when he said it, there was not a doubt in my mind, and I don't even know what it was a response to. Maybe somebody watching this live knows when he said, "Well, Doug," I think it was, "Well, Doug, some people like some things and some people don't like other things."
Yeah.
That kind of sums up something that I've been attempting to practice for, I think, about 25, 26 years now, truly.
Yeah, totally, man.
Like, okay, I just, like, all right, I mean, take your pick of whatever that somebody's doing that doesn't impact anybody else. Just like, okay, I don't know, in my thing, but what the fuck? So he likes to get pissed on. Okay, I don't know.
Right.
God bless him. I don't fucking care. What does it matter?
Their own.
You know?
It's a real core principle. It's like, kind of like the golden rule. You know, treat others like you want to be treated.
And
like
to each their own. I mean, those are actually what I attempt to, certainly sometimes fail, but attempt to live by. Dang, that's kind of heavy, Aaron. Wish you nothing but happiness. It's Cucky the Dwarf, who's a special spirit.
I love Cookie the Dwarf.
Aaron says, "I do worry about who is going to take care of my old ass, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there."
Robots.
You think the bots will?
Yeah, some AI.
Yeah, I don't know.
Twitter burner will take care of you.
Cucky the Dwarf, he might be speaking truth here. I don't know. It's amazing how many people have kids who probably shouldn't. LOL. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you and whatever your partner and you both agree that this is the right time to have kids and you have kids.
But what if somebody's just like met somebody at the Viper Room and,
right, and now is
planning on having anal, they don't, and then now there's a kid.
Seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
that's
a bad beat.
It's quite a spot. All right, let me go back into this email. Anyway, Matt, thank you for the book recommendation. Anytime I recognize somebody else who's kind of in my dark existence, and I go, dude, you've got to listen to On the Edge. I mean, it's everything. Also interesting on that Sam Bankman-Fried. I mean, I guess he said he'd be the poster boy for the river, but that doesn't mean that everybody in the quote unquote river is
fraud.
Right, is whatever the fuck he did, $27 billion.
Yeah.
All right, let me see what else we got here. Jackson, what are you in the mood for? Because if you want Cardinals, I got it. If you want Mizzou, I got it. If you want election, I got it. If you want fandom, I got it.
Ooh, I kind of like the last two. Yeah, let's do fandom. That's it. Just like TMA fandom or just fandom in general?
Fandom in general, sports fandom.
Let's do it. Yeah,
all right, here you go. Let's see if this gentleman wants his full name out there. Looks like it, but I don't know because it's his signature. Well, anyway, it comes from David. Long email, bear with, it's worth it. Sure. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had it ready for the show. This is a question for Jackson.
Oh, nice.
On QFTA, but would love Tim's input too. Feel free to discuss on TMA too if you find it interesting enough. Thought experiment. I need a ruling on my casual NFL fandom from Jackson based on the TMA discussion today. That's from Thursday, September 5th. This email was sent in. I guess this was when you went after Chiefs fans.
Scorched earth.
And then I got brought into it.
Yeah. Yep. Tim had to pay for my sentence.
It was fine, but it was like, the fuck? I grew up in mid-Missouri where it is extremely common to be a Blues and Cardinals and Chiefs fan, even when the Rams were in St. Louis. I think this is fair because the Chiefs and Cardinals have been around far longer than the Rams and Royals, and the biggest indicator of fandom is your parents.
Yep.
I agree with everything you said so far. Mm-hmm. So I grew up with that fandom, but when I was 10, the greatest show on turf happened, and I was hooked. I switched to a Rams fan for life. I stuck with them through the super rough years in college at Mizzou, still watching every game. I moved to St. Louis after college in January 2014 and kept up with it, attending multiple games the last 2 years and still watching every game. I started listening to TMA, so I realized the move was inevitable due to Tim's phenomenal work and courage in discussing the developments. Hit the gong. I mean, what a great email,
Can't reach
though.
the gong.
What a great email. Can I gong myself?
Yeah.
I could fist myself.
I think if I lose my hearing, it's going to be because of that damn gong.
So you're losing your hearing and I'm losing my eyesight.
Yeah, we'll be useless here in about 5 years.
After about 2 years, I was 26 and single and decided to move from St. Louis to Denver in late 2015. When the Rams finally moved in 2016, I was as pissed as anyone, almost breaking down at work. Oh, fuck. And leaving early. I swore off the NFL. Oh, man, that sucks. I hate to hear that.
Yeah.
Stopped watching games, got rid of my Rams gear, quit fantasy football, etc. After a couple years, it was tough being in a big NFL city and not having a team. I happened to live 2 blocks from the Chiefs bar in Denver, and that bar was me and my friends' go-to bar for at least 2 nights a week. I thought, hey, I like a potluck, which they do for Chiefs games, and drinking on Sundays, so we started going. It was a good community and a really fun time. I didn't really care about the outcome of games. Then Mahomes comes along, and it was just too fun to watch. I continued going to Don's and started watching more games at home and rooting for the Chiefs a little more each year. Fast forward a few years, and now I live in Kansas City. I still do not find myself emotionally invested in the Chiefs. I couldn't tell you the name of half the starters even at the end of the year. It truly does not ruin my day if they lose, like it ruins my week if Mizzou loses.
Hell yeah.
But I do watch every game and root for them. I've only been to one game, and that's when AFC Championship tickets fell into my lap. I try to refrain from buying official gear at retail because still, fuck Clark Hunt.
Yep.
I stand up for St. Louis when KC people talk shit on the city and laugh about losing the Rams when they don't know the full story. But my Chiefs are my team now, and I want them to win. I will always root for St. Louis teams over Kansas City because I feel a closer connection to the city from how I was brought up. I even root for city over sporting because fuck Kansas. If the Chiefs move across the border, my fandom may significantly decrease, but I'll cross that bridge when it happens. My thoughts are it's just not good to go through life bitter, and I can enjoy the Chiefs wave while I'm in the middle of it. I still despise Kroenke and still root super hard for St. Louis to feel a resurgence like Kansas City is right now, and I know it's possible. I've gotten over the Rams move. I don't even root that hard against them, but there's still a sadness when I see those helmets in SoFi Stadium and everything. I'm not saying it's fair or right for the Chiefs to be capitalizing on the St. Louis market or fair or right that it's working. I think 90% of the St. Louis Chiefs fandom is just wearing a jersey and picking a team in a state because they're on a hell of a run. Maybe they buy red and yellow Schnucks cookies for a family party on Sunday. It's hard to ignore the NFL in the United States, and they want a rooting part of it. There may be 10% that are hardcore that follow off-season developments and freak out over the draft, and if the backup left guard pulls a hamstring, that's frankly cuck behavior in my book. Anyway, Jackson, what say you? That's from David Landwehr, CPA.
Nice. It sounds like to me that you're a pretty casual Chiefs fan. Like you're like this guy's a pretty, almost by circumstance. And while he said there he's a fan, he said also it's not nearly to the emotional level of Mizzou. You're not necessarily from St. Louis, although you spent plenty of time there.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, I really root for who you want to root for. It doesn't. I think that there's many different scenarios where it's worse. To me, this sounds like a guy who's just enjoying life. And if that means watching the Chiefs on Sunday, then that means watching the Chiefs on Sunday.
But what upset you on the day that would lead to this gentleman's email and then me getting blamed for your opinion?
Right. And I hope that more of my opinions get blamed on Tim. That'd be really great. But I think what really it's just like the belief that St. Louis can't be great. Like I feel like that's.
But you were going after the Chiefs thing. That's what the topic was.
It's kind of in that vein. It's like almost being accepting of what happened.
I see them as being two separate topics. I don't understand.
I'm talking about like when I was talking about the St. Louis Chiefs fans that day, I was talking about like the people who like are from St. Louis, born and raised here, didn't really give a shit about the Rams, and then they moved, and then they just became Chiefs fans because it was easy, essentially. And I think that part of it is like doing that is like it's moving on too quick to me, and it's like accepting that what happened was okay, and I can't stand that. I can't like allow. Okay,
I understand that. My dislike for. Again, it's personal, as I said that day, and then whatever, whatever, it's fine. Somebody could root for whoever. I couldn't. If you were like a passionate Chiefs fan, I just wouldn't care any. Like one of my favorite people in the world is Gabe DeArmond, passionate Chiefs fan.
Casey, through and through.
Sure, absolutely. But I mean, I just don't give a shit.
Sure, agreed.
Vaugh, my nieces, right around actually, because my son's birthday is right around AFC Championship weekend, so we'll have parties, and they show up in Chiefs gear. God bless.
Sure.
I mean, my sister-in-law is from Kansas City.
Yeah.
My brother went to Rockhurst College or university, whatever the hell it is.
It's a university.
Is it?
Yeah.
So I'm just. Whatever. God bless them. I just don't. For me, I'm not ever going to pull for them. But similar at this point to the Rams, I see them, and I couldn't care any less. It's not a high or a low. I don't know if there is a sports team that I'm sure for you, Kansas basketball is probably your number one, I would think. Am I right?
I really dislike Tennessee football.
Really? That's so kind of random to me.
Oh, I can't stand them. And Kansas basketball for sure. I think that's it. Dallas Cowboys a little bit.
So for me, I just don't. But I mean, I also think that's something that does come with when you have kids and whatever. I just think, I'm not saying, I don't know. It's just one of those things that, like, if you're sitting there, think things are probably a little off if you do have a family and you're like on a message board arguing with people. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that. I
think something's off. Yeah.
Yeah. So neither here nor there. For me, I didn't think any. I remember saying to my mom in 1985, "Well, I mean, if the Cardinals lose, that'll be fine because both teams are from Missouri." And I remember her, and she's like the most loving, accepting, can't possibly have come from her womb person. And she goes, "Really?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, they're both from Missouri." Just like, what the that's where. And then I go to Missouri in '94. Now, granted, I was 8 or 9 when I said that, but. That's where I'm like, oh, these Kansas City people, not all of them, but some just really have a weird fucking deal with St. Louis. I'm just like, what is this? So that is where my thing came from.
Right.
Not everybody had that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Rams leaving. And as David wrote in his email, I was, I guess, as close as you could be to being aware of what was going on because of the last reporting I've probably ever done was that, and so hey, Clark Hunt, it's a gangster move. Sure. I actually think what I'm more irritated by than anything actually is like the Blues.
Yeah.
But again, relatively speaking, I'm not like. Yeah. I'm just like.
It's a nice.
I think at the core, I don't like being bullshitted.
Yes, I was literally about to go there.
That's so. But how many people who have adopted the Kansas City Chiefs, who are in the St. Louis metropolitan area, experienced what I experienced in the 1990s in Columbia, Missouri? I mean, what are we talking about here? Maybe 0.5%, and then are as aware as I am. And I don't know how many people in St. Louis, the guys who depose all these guys. Next to that, I mean, who else had Kevin Demoff texting them from the room where the Rams moved in Houston? I mean, I think I like to think for people who've listened, they kind of know that I was, whatever, in the know on a lot of things on that situation. So when you are, and then it's like, you're bullshitting. I get it. It's a total business move. Hey, God bless. But the fact that he was on the committee and he's the one guy, Clark Hunt I'm talking about, and he's the one guy to vote for St. Louis to lose its team.
Yeah.
I mean, but if everybody else in St. Louis adopts the team, great. It isn't going to affect me in any way. But that is why I won't cheer for the team. Now, if I have $100 on them or something, I'll cheer for them all day long.
Yeah.
That's where I come in.
I think the way I want to use this example is like, with sports, we love the game. That's why we watch the sports, is because we love the game it's playing players. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, whatever it is, soccer. Like, we love the game. What we don't want to see, like at least I don't want to see, is like a reminder that sports is a total business. All they're in it for is the money.
That is an astute observation, sir.
So, like, when you go to a play, the best plays are when you forget that they're acting. You think something real is going on. And when they break the fourth wall, you're like, oh, now it's kind of taking me out of it. Moments like Ryan O'Reilly putting on the Chiefs helmet is like breaking the fourth wall, where it's like, reminder, this is a big business, and this isn't about the game. And it's like, and it like hurts. The Rams was the ultimate example of breaking the fourth wall. It's like if in the middle of the play, they're like, hello, everybody, we're not going to refund you your money, and we're going to stop the show, and we're actually going to continue the show.
The Rams breaking the fourth wall. What their move? Okay.
Moving was like the ultimate breaking of the fourth wall. Like, reminder, this is a fucking business. And so moments like that, and that's why, like, I think that I hurt so much by it, because it was like such a big reminder, like, these teams don't care about you, the individual. They care about the dollar, the dollar, the dollar. If they can make one more dollar somewhere else, then they're going to do exactly that.
And I think for the most part, that's probably the case, but that's also business. But for whatever reason, I also think this sometimes happens with our show, that it's that things are lost sight of. Well, no, that can't be the way it is. But I'm telling you, it has to be. You might not like it. I might not like it, but it has to be the way it is. And so when it comes to, were you the one saying it? We were talking about balloon party, whatever, doesn't fucking matter. The Rams are now the second most valuable franchise in sports per Forbes. It's up to $7 billion. I mean, it was all
right.
There you go. I I enjoy it. Doesn't mean it was an honest transaction, right. But that's the deal. And so for me, which is where we differentiate. The Stan Kroenke, Jeff Fisher press conference in January of 2012 was the moment from that point forward, which was approximately 4 years to the day of the vote in Houston, where I no longer could enjoy the games like I could in 2011, dating back to 1995.
Yeah.
Because it became clear that barring a big surprise, this team is relocating. And so to talk about them winning, but again, I want to drive this home. That's why I can't fault people, because that's my job to cover that and be aware of that and have conversations with people, and to so why would anybody else be aware of that? So in other words, kind of like what I was saying, like I didn't realize until 24, 25 that women were attracted to tall guys, and it's great. Yeah. In a way, I wish I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
What I knew, not that I knew, because I did know, and I don't think anybody knew in 2012. They may have been planning, but I don't think they knew they were moving in 2012. I think by 2014 they knew. That then I could have enjoyed, even though they weren't really an enjoyable team, could have enjoyed the games more.
Some nice moments.
Versus being like, yeah, I mean, we can talk about the game, but the story is, and we used to have, Jason La Canfora on a bunch.
Sam Farmer
on a bunch.
Bunch of, it was like that was Seymour, right?
Yeah, Seymour was just a fucking greatest.
Probably 100 total different guests from all over the place.
It was a regular thing.
Slew lawyers.
And it was unpopular with a healthy portion of the audience, right. But I wasn't going to, I want to say we as a show, were not going to sweep it under the rug.
Sure.
Like, I can't imagine sports-wise we will ever cover a bigger story than losing an NFL franchise again.
No way.
So if I don't talk about it and give my honest opinions, and then also seek information from credible sources, and then try to pick off the bluffs and also, buy into what I think is truthful, then I'd be complicit in the move. So, as I always say, as far as like the show's content that I will be the most proud of, it will always be that, because we were one of the only shows in the market doing it. And it wasn't a popular thing to tell people something they didn't want to hear. That's never a popular thing to do. So I say all of that because that's where I come from on the Chiefs, is the Clark Hunt thing. But if everybody else in town was to pull for the Chiefs, and boy, I'll tell you, it sure seems like a lot of people have, then great. I truly just couldn't care any less. Well, the same thing, like I guess as a compare and contrast, when I was at Missouri, I didn't really hate Kansas. I still don't hate Kansas. I get that that's like a thing, but I'm just like, yeah, my best friend went to KU at the time. Yeah.
I have a ton of friends who went to Kansas.
So I would go there, and if anything, it was kind of, Lawrence was more kind of my, at the time, I'm going to Lawrence when you weren't even born yet. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it's like now, but it was more kind of a,
lesbianism?
I wish. It was just more, it was a lot of out-of-state people at the time,
sure.
And more laid back. It's the mid-'90s. It's, I thought of Missouri, even though I wasn't in a fraternity, two-term rush chairs I know you really respect.
I do.
For the Sigma Chi Xi chapter, Missouri was more kind of frat and, just groupthink shit that I just, that in my bag. And And I'm like, I kind of like this Lawrence, so why the fuck would I hate Kansas? But if you grew up in St. Louis, you don't have the same feeling towards Kansas as you do if you grew up in Kansas City and you hate K-State and KU and maybe even Nebraska. You just don't think anything.
My hate for Kansas is just buying in. Like I'm fully bought into the University of Missouri, so I think like part of that like buy-in contract is like you don't like Kansas. You know, it's just
sure. I mean, it was the greatest in 2007 when they played for what they were playing for at Arrowhead Stadium. Because I feel like that's probably a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and I still think it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. By the way, I have my rooms booked for next year for Missouri and Kansas at Faurot Field on September 6th.
Oh, the reunion. That's going to be awesome. That's going to be so fun. I would say like my actual vitriol for Tennessee is worse than my vitriol for Kansas.
Alan Dadeville says, one of my favorite things about Jackson is his hate of Rocky Top. As a dude, that's my guy.
Yeah, for real. Fuck Tennessee.
Wow.
Ugh.
Is that Derek Dealey?
That has nothing to do with Mr. Dooley. He seems like a nice enough guy. I really dislike Tennessee. They walk around like their shit doesn't stink, man.
I don't know. I don't really have a.
It's part of.
Maybe I need to go to a game in Knoxville.
I think being a.
Have you gone to a game in Knoxville?
No. The only two venues I've ever been to for high level football is Faurot Field and Edward Jones Dome. I'm not a traveled man.
You've only been to Faurot Field and Edward Jones Dome
for high level football, yeah.
Wow.
Never any other NFL stadium and no other college stadium.
That is startling.
Yeah, never been to any of them. I'd love to.
I need to highly encourage you.
I want to go to a road SEC game so bad. Like next time Mizzou plays at Tennessee, I really want to go. I don't know if I'll make it out alive, though, especially if Mizzou
Because you really want to fight these volunteers?
If Mizzou wins, I'll be the worst.
Wow, you into the Tennessee thing. What happened?
That could be any. Like if I went down to LSU, I'd be the worst about it, too.
I wouldn't recommend that there.
No, I wouldn't. That's why I'm saying. I'm kind of nervous.
Like for the real SEC fans that most of whom aren't Missouri fans that have gotten to know and BS with, they're like, oh, for real, man, you don't fuck around in Baton Rouge on a Saturday night. Yeah. They don't. It's a different thing.
Yeah.
Like you can picture whatever you want to picture with all these other crazy SEC fans that call into Feinbaum. They're probably essentially WWE characters.
Yeah.
Shout out Mary Jo from Missouri. But the thing down in Baton Rouge on a Saturday night, yeah, that's a scene.
No, that's what I want.
Not to say you want that.
Oh yeah,
you want that all day.
Yeah, I want. Like, I mean, it's such a smaller scale, but 2 years ago, Mizzou whooped that ass in the bragging rights game, and all those Illinois fans were leaving. Oh God.
It puts you in a good place.
Such a good place. It makes me so happy.
I just can't. This is from Alan Dadeville, who says you are his dudes need guys and you're his guy.
I love Alan Dadeville.
He says, I just can't view the St. Louis Chiefs thing through any lens other than how did we get here and an indictment on the direction of the region. It's from Alan Dadeville.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
See, and I also think what he said there, you clearly don't. I don't think that's, again, my thing with the Chiefs goes back. I couldn't have cared less about that. I probably would have been polling for the Chiefs, actually, like in the early 1990s, but it started when I got to Columbia, and I'm just like, what the fuck's wrong? Why are these people so angry about St. Louis? And I still don't really have an answer to that question.
Right.
But whatever. So from that point forward, I'd just be like, it wasn't about the Chiefs, but just like this Kansas City thing. I would always be confused about it. So for me, I do think subconsciously what Alan Dadeville's referencing, that, like, for example, and I think I texted Gabe this, or maybe I asked Gabe this when he was on one time, if the Royals were to leave Kansas City, not to say that they are, would everybody become and Bill DeWitt was one of the 6 people on the committee, the only one of the 6 to vote for the Royals to move to Nashville, whatever the hell would happen.
Yeah.
Would Royals fans adopt the Cardinals?
I just think the NFL is such a different animal. I just think it's such a different animal. I think it's so dominant that I don't think it would resonate the same. I don't know. Maybe I'm off, but like
my thing is the Kansas City thing towards St. Louis is kind of a, I mean, this probably doesn't travel well, but like San Diego's got no love for LA.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
San Francisco's got no love for LA.
Right. Oakland has no love for San Francisco.
That's correct, but it's always kind of the,
Bay Area.
No, it's always kind of the lesser.
Oh yeah.
That,
Yeah. Although I might take San Diego over LA.
I understand, but like the smaller,
it's
for example.
Smaller,
you see what I'm saying? Like how many people in Chicago are really thinking about St. Louis? Like their impression of St. Louis was pretty directly represented by Chris Bryant's comments you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay, whatever. Oh, we got to go. We're not going to go down there. They all come up here because it's a better city and it's a better venue to watch a game, and it's a, you know, so we don't think about it. And I just think that so when I would tell Gabe, and I think it would irritate him, I'd be like, yeah, we don't think about Kansas City, but we really didn't, truly didn't. And he's like, oh, that's what people in a rivalry say is a way to like dismiss. And I'm going, I don't tell you. It just isn't a topic.
It's not really your bag.
It just isn't a topic. Yeah, like
Performative.
big performative guy. And now it is. But I'm like, hey, great. People are watching. They get invested in it. I would love to be able to be emotionally invested in the NFL.
So would I.
I would love it. Like I saw Michelle Smallman, who now is at ESPN, used to be at 101, did a whole like bachelorette thing, and I gather she landed on the Packers.
Correct.
You just can't if Missouri were to lose to Vanderbilt, or you know, I mean that's another level. But if they were to lose to Texas A&M, for that matter, it will truly emotionally impact me.
Wreck me.
I mean, it wouldn't wreck me.
Oh, it would wreck me.
But you know, I mean, fuck, maybe it would. I don't know. I was stunned by my reaction to the LSU loss last year.
My buddy,
a combination of delighted and disgusted. Like delighted that I still could get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is kind of like a silver lining.
Yeah.
I had a buddy. We were watching the first game, and he goes, "This season just has to go right. I got nothing else." He goes, "This is everything." I go,
"That's what I think I said to you or Doug on the show or Balloon Party." I'm like, imagine Missouri loses to Boston College.
I know.
And at that point, it's like you cannot lose again. And even if you do,
even if you run the table, it's
you
still,
probably would get in, considing you got Alabama.
Well, you kind of need BC to be really good.
You need BC to be great. I mean, either way, it didn't happen. But that's my point. Like, we are so leveraged here with the state of things that, you know, it's a tough spot. So I want Illinois to win at Nebraska. I don't have a thing against Nebraska. You know,
I didn't grow up with Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean that was something else. I don't. The only I guess I can compare it to would be Alabama over the last 15 years. That's what Nebraska was. You know, which is I'm sure sounds foreign to you. But
I was about to say,
is
it weird to you that like I've seen way more Mizzou football games against SEC teams than I have Big 12 teams?
Sure, I think it's great. I think it's such a great thing.
Yeah.
That was you don't hear it anymore, and it's like, oh, where are all the so-and-so haters now doing that shit? But in the moment, it would drive me up the wall when, boy, Missouri really fucked itself with the move to the SEC. And I realize now the results make it like it can't even be talked about anymore. But I disagreed with it in the moment because of both the financial element, but also the SEC is the premier college football conference. And we got Ames, Iowa, and Manhattan, Kansas, and Stillwater, Oklahoma, and Waco, Texas, and Lubbock, Texas. And you're telling me you want that shit over going to Oxford, Mississippi, and even like the subpar
Stark Vegas.
It would be the one I would be thinking of. You know, but at least you're still going south in you know, October or November. You know, and there's an atmosphere of some form there, as garbage as they've been, minus the Dak Prescott era.
The cowbell.
So yeah, and Missouri can't compete. I'm like, Missouri, what are you talking about? They were in the SEC championship 2 of the first 3 years.
Yeah, my God, they couldn't have started any better.
It's so just one of the best developments over the last year, I guess, actually, is how people who are not Missouri grads, current students, parents of students, it's kind of happening what I've always not really hoped, but truly believed, which is why I think I would get sideways with some hardcore Missouri fans, is I could not accept, this is probably a Riverian type of thing, but I couldn't go, yeah, well, Missouri can never be. And I'm just like, why? If anything, God, if I could buy stock in a team, and I'm talking about even 5 years ago, it would be Missouri is a monster state university, the only one in between two, relatively speaking, large cities. And now in the SEC, why not Missouri? And that's why it's like, oh, 8 wins is a great year around here. You know, if you ever get to 9, you take that. But I'm like, why not? Yeah. Why not Missouri? And I just can't. I don't do well when I'm sitting around people who accept mediocrity. You know, and hey, listen, I kind of. And in a way, I almost envy it, I suppose. But that's what drove me up the wall with it.
Right.
I don't. If you set out like just any other team at the beginning of the year, you know, and you don't believe you can win, why are we fucking doing? Right. You know, I never got that, and so now it's a real thing, and that's why this year is so critical, because you have people who otherwise this time 365 days ago didn't give a damn, who are paying attention, either because they want to see them lose to dunk on Missouri fans, or to, see them get to a spot where potentially they're undefeated going up against a potentially undefeated Alabama team for what would be, a game of the year kind of setup on a Saturday night in Tuscaloosa, Alabama on October 26th.
Is that night game confirmed?
It's in the afternoon night window.
Let's go.
I mean, as a Missouri fan, I'd much rather have the 11 o'clock
I would
kick.
too, but give it, if you're going to do it, you're going to go down to Tuscaloosa and do it, let's fucking do it.
Oh, yeah, I get it. I mean, I'm very delighted that the Texas A&M game is an 11 o'clock kick,
agreed.
Just like I was destroyed when I saw the LSU kick time last year.
Right.
Let's see. You talk a lot about the potential of 30 for 30 on the Rams relocation. Would you ever consider self-producing one? That's from Gaping Stepdad. It would require millions of dollars, number one, and I suppose you can do a round of funding and get that. But the key is getting people to talk on the record and do interviews, and that would it's not going to happen. I mean, that is why the NFL cut the check to St. Louis and the hashtag Dragon slang.
You're not going to get the interviews.
Because they didn't want all of that to get out.
Right.
Right. So
you can get Demoff's hairstylist to talk about it.
That'd be a good get.
And you can get Liev Schreiber to voice it.
Let's see. What do we got else here in the YouTube chat? It's active as the day is long. I was at Mizzou 2002 to 2004. This is Cucky the Dwarf. Chiefs fans hated us because the Rams, we returned serve, and I've been the same ever since. That's from Cucky the Dwarf. Aaron and St. Chuck. Hate the Chiefs. Don't care about the Cardinals. Love my Celtics. Activating Jackson. Liverpool, Falcons, Bills. If you'd have told 8-year-old me that's what my priorities would be, I would not have believed you. It's Aaron and
What's
St.
it
Chuck.
like rooting for two different NFL teams?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering there.
Because everything else stands.
Maybe she's rooting for Bill's Hole, not the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I've rooted for Bill's Hole.
No.
Liverpool,
it's a great hole. It's a great
Liverpool
hole.
fan though.
You got a thing with Liverpool fans.
I don't.
What's the problem?
I think if I were to go to England, I'd want to see probably 3 soccer games. I want to go to Anfield where Liverpool plays. I'd want to go see Tottenham because that stadium's really cool.
Tottenham Hotspur.
And I'd like to see the Hotspurs. And Fulham, Craven Cottage, right on the River Thames. It looks really cool.
That's where you'd go.
Yeah,
But
Liverpool would be
you're
on
mad at Aaron and St. Chuck and her nipple rings for
No.
being You'll Never Walk Alone.
No, the Scouse accent just is tough on the ears.
Oh, wow.
There's no offense, but it's tough on the ears.
Let's see. This one's on the TMA fan page. Obviously, the Cardinals are in a spot, and I don't expect them to contend for anything next year. But I do have my idea of a quote-unquote good offseason. Just as an example for me, moving Mo out of the president of baseball operations role, removing Blake/Ward from the coaching staff, at the very least when it comes to staff moves, exploring trades for aging assets, Helsley, Contreras, Arenado, letting Goldie, Gibson, Lynn walk, aim to sign low-risk, potential high-reward depth, guys in their late 20s, early 30s preferably, in hopes of being able to flip at the deadline next year, among other things. In short, start aiming for the future and be upfront about it. What constitutes a good Cardinal offseason for both of you? Wow. I had not read that because it's on the TMA fan page, so it wasn't in my email inbox. That's my what you wrote, Ryan, is
it's kind of the answer.
That's it.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Yeah.
What I want perhaps more than anything, and I haven't watched it yet, but Bernie Miklasz did a video on how 2025 is going to be rough, and I love that credible people are talking, and they're not like
right.
motherfucker. I assume Bernie's not motherfucking people. That'd be a switch for him. But just saying, hey, realistically look at it. Like Doug during TMA today was saying, they got to go out and get a big bat. I'm like, I mean, yeah, it'd be nice, but think about the situation.
What's that netting you?
That's exactly right. Which was Randy Carricker, to his credit, and I guess he caught a lot of hell. And I think some of it from the Cardinals too. Which was his contention. Okay, you signed Sonny Gray. You're still going to win around 80 games. What does that do? Why even bother?
Right.
That's been my whole issue. There's not. What is the plan? So what I would love more than anything, I just don't know who in the organization would do it. I guess Bloom could. I wouldn't know him if he walked in, though.
Yeah.
If he, I don't know if they would have him do that. I'm trying to, like, the face of the franchise. I don't know who would do it, but say, we know that what's been going on is unacceptable. Nobody is more disappointed in what's taken place than us. And it's our responsibility to immediately turn it around. And therefore, the process is going to take a couple of years to get back to where we were. But we want to build sustainability and not try and put Band-Aids on it. And therefore, we're going to take aggressive measures. And this is not something that we've done our 30 years as owners of this franchise, but this is the route we're going to take. And God, it strikes me as something that people would be on board with. Now, there would be the people, you're a billionaire, 3 million fans, whatever, and you'd have that complain about it. But I think overall, I think people would be on board. Like I think, Jordan Walker hitting home runs now, I find that an encouraging thing.
Yeah, he's in the baseball.
And he knows he's going to play. Give him the shot.
I think that's a big reason.
But if they kind of hedge next year, I don't know. But yes, I just don't know how they can be a 90-plus win team.
Right.
I feel like anybody can win the World Series, as ridiculous as that sounds. But I just don't know how the Cardinals would be a 90-plus win team next year. I have no idea how that's the case. I don't know why people would be talking about it, but I don't imagine too many people are talking about it because I think in the near term is, will Marmol be back? Will Mozeliak be back? My expectation is Mozeliak is not fired. I'd be shocked if he's fired, but I doubt he is the top of the baseball operations. And then I think he goes to the business side at some point, whether it be in 2025 or after his contract in 2026. And I don't know on Marmol. I mean, the whole extension thing. At that point, I was reading, maybe it was The Athletic yesterday. I don't know if you happen to read this about Marmol's return. Maybe it was Rosenthal. I don't know. That was on ESPN, actually.
Okay.
And the author of the article spoke with another front office person in baseball, not a Cardinal person, and said, with the Cardinals signing him through 2026, they'd just be peeling off money for somebody not to work for him. And that's an organization that just is really, who enjoys doing it, but the Cardinals really dislike doing it.
Right, doing some belt tightening, if we're being honest.
And so I don't know. I think if they were to have that kind of press conference, remember last year they didn't have a press conference?
Right. Tone deaf.
It's just...
Tone deaf to me.
I just don't know who in the organization... you have Mozeliak, you have the two DeWitts, you have Marmol. Like, who is the person who can...
shepherd in the new era, kind of?
Communicate in the manner that, like, Doug Armstrong does with the fans.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Do they need to be, you think they need to be from St. Louis?
No.
Midwest?
Doug Armstrong's Canadian.
All right, then Heim time.
Yeah, that's the opportunity.
Yeah,
I just don't know. I have no idea what he's like.
No, I don't either.
Part of it is very rarely do you see someone elected to office, for example, who has a tough time speaking.
Right.
So part of the gig oftentimes can be a comfort level with connecting with people and having some charisma, and that would be a fresh face to say, hey, you've got to be the one to convey what the plan is here and an acknowledgement that this has not been right and here's what we're going to do to get it right.
Yeah.
And I think if you have one of those four that I listed, I just don't know how much credibility they have at this point.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm with you. I think you got to, the messaging has to change. There has to be some admission of guilt in a way. You can't just be like, oh man, well, we really thought that was going to work. No, come on. Don't bullshit us.
And the tough thing for them is if they are in a financial spot, then are they going to be scared to go into rebuild mode?
No, I get that. But clearly I don't think that this last month is the most indicative, but clearly this whole thing of things will be great if the team stinks has clearly shown that the attendance is a big drop. A drop in attendance is possible. I don't think they up to this point, has that ever been a possibility? It's been a thought, a hypothetical, man, attendance could drop. Now we've finally seen attendance drop.
I don't know if it's, I say this and I truly don't know if it's realistic. This sounds like something you'd see on a message board, Yeah, I don't. I mean, again, it could be completely unrealistic, especially when and I guess at this point, it's now talked about way more openly, the television situation, not necessarily by them as much, although Mazalek did talk about it a little bit with Ackerman 2 weeks ago. That's been my handicapping of what's going on is the television situation. If they would actually cut ticket prices in some capacity, what that would mean to people.
Yeah.
And go, hey, this is going to be a process, but we know, and we might look at making some moves that'll blow your fucking minds.
Yeah. I think they would go more subscription-based, like try to really push the subscription-based tickets for cheap, so that they can get
You got to get goodwill back is what I'm trying to tell you. You got to do that. And I think that my understanding is there is awareness that they've been tone deaf, for lack of it. That's not the term I was given, but that they've kind of missed out here. Yeah. And then when we're living on the past, and you can't keep doing that. So I really am. I'm anxious to see what happens. I mean, I can't wait for this thing to be over, as in the regular season. But I'm anxious, and I have. By the way, your level of interest to see what they do in the first, few days after the end of the regular season. Finishing the thought, level of interest in the baseball postseason. 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. Go
for 2024. No Cardinals in it. 2. Yeah.
I guess 2 is probably right.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I feel like 1's live.
Baseball, like outside the Cardinals, I have found myself not enjoying watching other baseball games at all. Just not into it.
I think I could tell you. We did something similar to this on Balloon Party before. I think I could tell you from 1982 through 1999, not only the team who won the World Series, but the number of games.
Yeah, you did.
Well, I didn't do it in the games. I think I did all the Cardinals playoff appearances just from memory.
Their opponents.
But that speaks to my interest level on it. I know you're not betting with me for another, 10 days? Is that when the embargo is up?
I think we got another week after today, so 8 days.
I know the Rangers won last year.
Yeah.
In that Nightingale article I cited on TMA this morning, for those of you who were listening, where he talked about how the possibility of Chaim Bloom could be the guy who's in charge next year here. It was mainly an article about the Rangers. And I guess the Rangers won every road game last year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was like the inverse.
Right.
It was like each team won the road games.
But I couldn't tell you how many games were in that series.
Yeah.
How many games were in that series,
Just by math, I think it had to go on 7. Yeah, it went 7 last year.
So that was 2023.
It went 7.
2020. Oh, it did go 7? Did it really?
Let's find out. 2023. I could go 98 to now.
Well, then I guess if they won on the road, then that'd be it.
Because I was just doing the math in my head, and then I feel like I remember that it went Game 7. Last year it went. No, Texas won in 5 games.
That's what I was about to say. I thought that was a shorter series, and if it was a 7-game series, and I didn't remember.
Texas won. The Rangers won in 5 games. I could, from 98 to now, I could do every World Series winner. From the year I was born to now, I can do every World Series winner.
I get put to the test once, 2017 rolls around.
Astros.
I mean, I can do it, but it's like the 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
Sure.
It's and then really through the Cubs winning.
Yep.
But then, and I don't have the answer as to the why.
Right.
So 17 Astros, 18 Red Sox, 19 Nationals, 20 Dodgers. Asterisk. 21 and 22. He's gonna be put to the test. I know the Braves got 1, and I guess the Astros.
21 Braves, 22 Astros, 23 Rangers, 24 Phillies.
24. It's the Phillies. Oh, you got inside word.
First time since 08.
Oh, wow. I guess I got to ship that.
Yeah.
That seems like a live play.
Yeah.
All right, Jackson. I mean, how long have we gone here?
You want to take a guess?
Hour and 10 minutes.
Literally an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, it's exciting. That was kind of unfair because I'm pretty sure we started at 12:35. Then I just looked at the clock. I got good emails, but I don't know. I don't want to keep going. Plus, I'm so fucking exhausted.
Yeah, I hear that. I didn't get great sleep last night either.
What was going on? You up banging in Little Rock?
Yeah, what up? No, I woke up randomly at 2:30, and I couldn't get back to bed till 3:15, and by that point, I'm getting about an hour more of sleep. So I get like 10 to 2:30, and that's about all the sleep I got. It sucks.
The good news is, and I don't want to jinx it, but usually when I have a night like that,
Same.
it's going to be a glorious night of sleep tonight.
By like 9:30, I'll be like just so exhausted. I'll just pass out, and I won't wake up till 4:30. And I'll be a well-rested little birdie.
Well-rested little birdie.
Yeah, I told you when I wake up, I'm like a baby cooing at
Cooing at the... you're always welcome to email in for QFTA. The major book recommendations, wonderful. Tip of the cap on that. T. McKernan at InsideSTL.com. Still looking for erotic stories. Not finding them. Just appalled. Just appalled.
It's bullshit, really.
I mean, what's going on? It's got to be going on.
I think people are so nervous that they're going to send it in, and then maybe we or Iggy will just light it on fire. Be like, nope, we poke holes in it.
Maybe I'm an outlier, somebody who was lucky enough to have,
and these people can just make it up. What the hell are we going to know?
Sure.
Make it at least interesting, though. Like, if you're going to make it up, like, don't get too... Because you've read a couple, right, where you said that you felt like someone was holding their love in their hand while writing it?
Yes.
Avoid that.
Yeah, that was...
If you could write it...
I felt unwashed as I read the gentleman clearly masturbating as he was typing something that was fictitious and then sending it to me.
Which is nice. If you're going to send something to Tim, either... jerk it while you do it.
If you could.
Or get mad at him for my opinion.
Right.
Those are the two emails that you can send to.
Those are welcome. T. McKernan at InsideSTL.com.
Oh, if you need Cardinal tickets, too.
Yeah, if you could. That's Jackson Bennett Burkett. I'm Timothy Michael McKernan. Thank you to James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency. Online at carltoninsurance.net. Thanks to Mark Hanna of Evergreen Wealth Strategies. Online at evergreenstl.com. Thank you to Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Online at stlouisacura.com and altontoyota.com. And thank you to Seth Goldcamp of Design Air Heating and Cooling. Online at designairservice.com. Our sponsors here on the Tim McKernan Show podcast.